Michael Gregory Mike Mizanin is an American professional wrestler, reality television star and actor. He is currently signed to WWE, where he performs under the ring name The Miz. Mizanin first gained fame as a cast member on MTV's The Real World, Back to New York, which first aired in 2001, and its spin-off series, Real World Road Rules Challenge. He later entered the fourth season of Tough Enough, a televised competition which awarded the winner a WWE contract, and became the first runner-up. Mizanin has also made appearances on television shows including Battle of the Network Reality Stars, Fear Factor, Identity, Ghost Hunters, Dinner, Impossible, Psych and Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Mizanin trained and wrestled with Ultimate Pro Wrestling and Deep South Wrestling, where he became the first Deep South heavyweight champion. Mizanin was sent to Ohio Valley Wrestling, working in tag team matches and winning the tag team title, the OVW Southern Tag Team Championship, on one occasion. Mizanin became host of the annual WWE Diva Search competition in 2006. Following his hosting duties, Mizanin made his wrestling debut in September 2006, as a villain who went undefeated for 3 months, but his winning streak ended when he was later defeated by the Boogeyman at Armageddon 2006. In 2007, Miz was drafted from SmackDown to the ECW brand, where he formed a partnership with John Morrison, in which the two were the only tag team on the ECW brand to ever hold a tag team title, and were the only one to hold both SmackDown's WWE Tag Team Championship and Raw's World Tag Team Championship. He was drafted to the Raw brand as part of the 2009 WWE Draft, and won the WWE United States Championship. In July 2010, he won the Raw Money in the Bank ladder match at the first WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view, earning a contract for a WWE Championship match, which he used in November to win the WWE Championship, which he held for 6 months. In 2011, The Miz was ranked number 1 on Pro Wrestling Illustrated's annual PWI 500 list. All totaled, The Miz has won 10 championships in WWE, and is the 25th Triple Crown champion in company history. Early life, Mizanin was born in Parma, Ohio. He was raised in Cleveland, Ohio, where he attended Normandy High School and was the captain of its basketball and cross-country teams. He also participated in swimming, and was a member of the student government and the editor of his high school yearbook. He then attended Miami University, where he was a member of the Theta Chi fraternity, and studied business at the Richard T. Farmer School of Business. Television career: Mizanin dropped out of college, where he was pursuing a degree in business in order to appear on the 10th season of MTV's reality television program The Real World in 2001. He went on to appear in multiple seasons of his spin-off series, Real World Road Rules Challenge, along with contestants from both Road Rules and The Real World, including Battle of the Seasons, The Gauntlet, The Inferno, Battle of the Sexes 2, and The Inferno 2. Except for Battle of the Sexes 2, Mizanin made it to the end of all the challenges on which he competed and won both Battle of the Seasons and The Inferno 2. After a 7-year-long absence from the Real World Road Rules Challenge, Mizanin returned to the reality show on April 4, 2012, as the host of the Battle of the Exes season finale reunion special. It marked the first time The Miz appeared on the series since becoming a main event WWE superstar. It was during an episode of The Real World that Mizanin first displayed an alter ego known as The Miz. In contrast to Mizanin's usually placid demeanor, The Miz was angry, combative, and headstrong. Mizanin later realized that The Miz would make an excellent professional wrestling gimmick. In 2004, he appeared on the Bravo reality show Battle of the Network Reality Stars, where his team finished second. Mizanin was also a contestant in the Reality Stars episode of Fear Factor. His partner was his former girlfriend and castmate, Trishelle Canatella, and the two won the competition. In April 2007, he appeared on the game show Identity, where he appeared as a stranger, and contestant John Kim correctly identified his identity as a professional wrestler by the odd way he added Miz before most words. In 2008, Mizanin appeared on the sci-fi reality series Ghost Hunters live as a guest investigator. In 2009, Mizanin appeared on 2 episodes of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?, which were both aired on September 29. He appeared on an episode of Destroy Build Destroy on March 3, 2010. On October 5, 2011, Miz starred in an episode of H8R. He also appeared as a guest star in a March 2012 episode of Psych. On March 31, Miz appeared in the first-ever Slime Wrestling World Championship at the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, losing to The Big Show, which resulted in him being thrown into a tub of slime. In 2012, Miz appeared on Disney XD show Pair of Kings as a guest star. In 2013, Miz along with Francia Razer were in a movie together called Christmas Bounty. Professional wrestling career, Ultimate Pro Wrestling, pursuing the goal of becoming a professional wrestler which he had harbored from an early age. Mizanin joined Ultimate Pro Wrestling, where he trained in the Ultimate University. He made his in-ring debut in 2003 as The Miz. During his time with UPW, The Miz competed in UPW's Mat Wars tournament, making it to the finals before losing to Tony Stradlin. World Wrestling Entertainment WWE, Tough Enough in Training. In October 2004, Mizanin entered the 4th season of Tough Enough, a televised competition which awarded the winner a World Wrestling Entertainment contract and $1 million. Despite coming last in an arm wrestling tournament on November 25, 2004, Mizanin outlasted 6 other wrestlers, and made it to the final round. At the pay-per-view event, Armageddon, Mizanin faced the other remaining entrant, Daniel Puder, in a 3-round Dixie dog fight. Neither man achieved a knockout, and the contest was awarded to Puder on the basis of crowd reaction. On the December 16, 2004 episode of SmackDown, Puder was announced as the winner of Tough Enough by head trainer Al Snow. Despite losing the Tough Enough contest, Mizanin had piqued the interest of WWE, and he was eventually offered a developmental contract. Mizanin was sent to Deep South Wrestling to train under Bill DeMott, relocating to McDonough, Georgia in the process. In July 2005, he wrestled 2 dark matches for WWE, teaming with former Tough Enough champion Matt Cappotelli to face the Highlanders. On December 1, 2005, Mizanin defeated Mike Knox in the finals of a tournament to determine the inaugural Deep South Heavyweight Champion. He continued his partnership with Matt Cappotelli throughout the second half of 2005 in WWE dark matches and house shows until Cappotelli, nominally of Ohio Valley Wrestling, was diagnosed with a brain tumor after an injury at a taping in December 2005. On January 3, 2006, it was reported that Mizanin had been transferred to OVW. On the January 18, 2006, OVW TV show, Mizanin made his debut as Miz, with a Miz TV segment, where he was shown talking backstage. On the January 28, 2006 episode of the OVW television show, The Miz wrestled his first singles match against René Dupree, but lost by countout. At the February 8, 2006 TV taping, Miz and Chris Cage captured the OVW Southern Tag Team Championship, defeating Chet the Jet and Seth Skyfire. In what was deemed a disciplinary move, WWE released Cage over the weekend of March 18, 2006, making it necessary for Miz and Cage to drop the titles. On March 19, 2006, Deuce Shade defeated Miz in a singles contest to win the championship for his team the Untouchables. Debut and teaming with John Morrison. On March 7, 2006, WWE's official website featured a video of The Miz stating that he was headed to SmackDown. And throughout April, SmackDown aired vignettes hyping his debut. When Mizanin actually attempted to make his debut on the April 21, 2006 episode of SmackDown. However, he was, in storyline, banned from entering the arena by network executive Palmer Cannon, who told him that he had been cancelled before having security escort him from the premises. The Miz debuted as SmackDown's host on June 2, 2006, announcing the planned card at the top of the show and attempting to hype up the crowd. Other host duties included backstage interviews and hosting a bikini contest. The hosting duties seemed sporadic at best, with some weeks having little to no involvement of Miz at all. Starting in July, Miz, along with Ashley Massaro, became host of the annual Diva Search competition on both Raw and SmackDown. After the end of the Diva Search competition, The Miz returned exclusively to SmackDown. And as a villainous persona, starting his in-ring competition with win over Tatanka in September 2006 episode of SmackDown. After this win he, along with commentator Michael Cole, began to note whenever possible that he was undefeated, though he only wrestled 5 matches over the next 2 months, defeating such superstars as Matt Hardy, Funaki, and Scotty 2 Hotty. At the same time he began a feud with Diva Search winner Layla L., who spurned his advances on more than one occasion, leading to Miz helping Crystal defeat her in various competitions. Soon, however, Miz and Crystal found themselves being stalked by the Boogeyman. This began a feud in which the Boogeyman ended the Miz's winning streak at December's Armageddon event. Following a brief absence from television, The Miz returned to SmackDown to host an interview segment called Miz TV. After the unsuccessful segment, The Miz returned to in-ring competition with a more intense style and began to pick up wins once again. On the June 11, 2007 episode of Raw, Mizanin faced off against Snitsky in a match to determine a draft pick for SmackDown. Snitsky easily defeated The Miz to give ECW the draft pick, but after constantly assaulting The Miz after the match, the referee reversed the decision and awarded the match to Miz, thus allowing SmackDown a draft pick. SmackDown's pick was then revealed to be Chris Masters. Miz was drafted from SmackDown to ECW on June 17, 2007, as part of the 2007 supplemental draft. He was absent from the first few weeks of ECW, though he was the subject of backstage mentions between matches and had several short Miz TV crashes ECW video segments. He made his debut on the July 10 episode of ECW in a match against Nunzio, which he won. Following this match, Extreme Exposure Copyright began expressing admiration in him and gave him a lap dance, starting a new gimmick for him of a self-proclaimed chick magnet. Extreme Exposure Copyright then became managers for The Miz. He then began a feud with Balls Mahoney, after Kelly began to fall in love with Mahoney on screen. On the October 2 episode of ECW, it was revealed that Miz owned the contracts of Kelly, Layla, and Brooke Adams, and used this excuse to stop Kelly from going out with Mahoney. He was voted at Cyber Sunday to face CM Punk for the ECW Championship but lost the match. On the November 16 episode of SmackDown, he became one half of the WWE Tag Team Champions with John Morrison when they defeated Matt Hardy and Montel Vontavious Porter in a title match, which gave them as his first title within the company. In February 2008, Miz and Morrison were given a streaming segment on the WWE website named The Dirt Sheet in which they mocked other wrestlers and facets of pop culture, showing off their promo skills. Morrison and The Miz co-wrote each episode of The Dirt Sheet each week. As the duo continued to hold the titles, WWE downplayed the angle of Miz and Morrison disliking each other, and portrayed them as friends. The team had many successful title defenses over the next few months, before dropping the championship to Curt Hawkins and Zack Ryder at the Great American Bash in a fatal 4-way match which also featured Jesse and Festus and Finlay and Hornswoggle. Neither Miz nor Morrison were pinned, as Hawkins pinned Jesse to win the titles. Miz and Morrison soon followed a feud with Crime Time as a battle of their shows, Word Up, and The Dirt Sheet. They were voted into a match with, and defeated, Crime Time at Cyber Sunday. On December 13, 2008, Miz and Morrison defeated Kofi Kingston and CM Punk to win the World Tag Team Championship during a WWE house show in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. The team then engaged themselves in a feud with the Cola Cubed NS. In a dark match at WrestleMania XXV, they lost the World Tag Team Championship to the Cola Cubed NS in a lumberjack match to unify the World Tag Team and the WWE Tag Team titles. On the April 13 episode of Raw, The Miz lost a match to Kofi Kingston due to Morrison's inadvertent interference, which gave Raw a draft pick in the 2009 WWE Draft. The pick was then revealed to be The Miz, and retaliated by subsequently attacking Morrison, ending their partnership. championship reigns and Miz. Miz challenged John Cena to a match on the April 27 episode of Raw, but as Cena was out due to injury, Miz claimed an unofficial win via forfeit and continued to do this over the following weeks, until Cena defeated him in a singles match at the Bash. On the August 3 episode of Raw, The Miz lost a match to Cena, which meant that, in storyline, he was banned from the Staples Center, Raw and SummerSlam. The following week, on August 10, Miz competed under a mask as the Calgary Kid, and won a contract on pole match against Eugene, earning a contract in storyline, and revealing himself by removing his mask afterwards. After removing the mask to reveal himself, he cut a promo and debuted his catchphrase, "Because I'm The Miz and I'm awesome." On the August 17 edition of Raw, The Miz announced his intention to challenge for the WWE United States Championship, and also debuted new ring attire and a new finishing move and defeated Evan Bourne. He challenged for the United States Championship at the Night of Champions, Breaking Point and Hell in a Cell pay-per-views, but was unsuccessful. On the October 5 episode of Raw, the night after Hell in a Cell, The Miz received a rematch for the championship, and defeated Kofi Kingston to win the United States Championship and his first singles championship in WWE. The following pay-per-view event, Bragging Rights, was themed with interpromotional matches, and now that The Miz was the second-tier champion on Raw, he was booked against SmackDown's Intercontinental Champion, his erstwhile tag team partner John Morrison. In the build-up to their first match since splitting, the two hosted a one-off edition of the Dirt Sheet on the October 16 episode of SmackDown, where the two compared themselves to 80s tag team The Rockers, debating over which is more comparable to the successful Shawn Michaels and which was the less successful Marty Jannetty. At Bragging Rights, Miz pinned Morrison to become the only member of the Raw roster to win an interpromotional match. The following month at Survivor Series, Miz captained a team of 5 wrestlers against Team Morrison in a 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match and once again bested his former partner. In 2010, The Miz began a rivalry with MVP that began with a critically well-received verbal exchange between the two. The two met in an unadvertised match for the United States Championship at the Royal Rumble event, with Miz retaining his title, but in the Royal Rumble match itself MVP eliminated both himself and The Miz. During the rivalry with MVP, Miz began showing signs of an allegiance with the Big Show, and on the February 8 episode of Raw, the two defeated champions D-Generation X and the Straight Edge Society to become the unified WWE Tag Team Champions, making Miz a triple champion. Miz appeared on the WWE NXT show as the storyline mentor of Daniel Bryan. At WrestleMania XXVI, Shawn Miz defeated John Morrison and R-Truth to retain the title again. During the 2010 WWE Draft on the April 26 episode of Raw, Miz lost the unified WWE Tag Team Championship to the Hart Dynasty when Tyson Kidd made The Miz submit to the Sharpshooter. After the match, The Big Show knocked out The Miz, and was later drafted to the SmackDown brand, leaving The Miz on Raw. WWE Champion and Awesome Truth. On May 10, Kidd defeated The Miz in a match, which earned any member of the Hart Dynasty a match for the United States Championship, and The Miz, who was allowed to choose his opponent, elected to face Bret Hart. On the following episode of Raw on May 17, Hart defeated The Miz to win the United States Championship, despite Chris Jericho, William Regal, and Vladimir Kozlov attempting to interfere on The Miz's behalf. The Miz had a tumultuous relationship with Bryan, who was eliminated from NXT on May 11, although he returned the following week to attack The Miz. The Miz returned as a pro for the second season of NXT, to mentor Alex Riley, the only pro to return. On the June 14 episode of Raw, The Miz defeated R-Truth, John Morrison, and Zack Ryder in a fatal 4-way match to win the United States Championship for the second time, and successfully retained the championship against R-Truth at the fatal 4-way pay-per-view. On July 18, at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, The Miz won a Money in the Bank ladder match to win a contract for a WWE Championship match that he could utilize at any time over the next year, and became the first superstar to win Money in the Bank while being a champion and the second superstar after Rob Van Dam to hold a MITB contract and a title at the same time. Over the next few weeks, The Miz attempted to cash in his Money in the Bank contract on the WWE champion Sheamus, but was continually interrupted by other wrestlers before the matches could occur, which meant that he retained the contract for future use. Daniel Bryan returned to WWE at SummerSlam, taking The Miz's place on Team WWE, causing The Miz to attack him. This began a rivalry between the two, with The Miz losing the United States Championship to Bryan at the Night of Champions event in September. The following month, Miz defeated John Cena to become the captain of Team Raw, but at the Bragging Rights pay-per-view Team Raw were The Miz, R-Truth, John Morrison, Santino Marella, Sheamus, CM Punk, and Ezekiel Jackson were unsuccessful in defeating Team SmackDown. On the November 22 episode of Raw, following a successful WWE Championship defense by Randy Orton against Wade Barrett, he cashed in his Money in the Bank contract to become the new WWE Champion, making him the first person from Tough Enough to win the WWE Championship. He successfully defended the championship against Jerry Lawler in a tables, ladders, and chairs match on the following episode of Raw, due to help from Michael Cole and Riley, and again at the TLC, tables, ladders and chairs pay-per-view in December by defeating Orton in a tables match following interference from Alex Riley. The Miz defeated Morrison to retain the championship in a Falls Count Anywhere match on the first Raw of 2011. He defeated Orton again at the Royal Rumble, after interference from CM Punk, in January 2011, and Lawler the following month at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view to retain the championship. The night after Elimination Chamber, The Miz and John Cena were paired together by the Raw general manager to challenge the Core for the WWE Tag Team Championship. The Miz and Cena were successful in winning the titles, but lost them back to Core immediately afterward in a rematch, after The Miz turned on Cena. This made their reign the shortest in the championship's history. The following week, The Miz lost Riley as his apprentice after Cena defeated Riley in a steel cage match with the stipulation that if Cena won, Riley was fired from his job, but The Miz hired Riley back, this time as his VP of Corporate Communications, in mid-March. On April 3 in the main event of WrestleMania XXVII, The Miz successfully defended the WWE Championship against Cena, following interference from The Rock. At the Extreme Rules pay-per-view on May 1, The Miz lost the WWE Championship to Cena, in a triple threat steel cage match, also involving John Morrison. The following night on Raw, The Miz failed to regain the championship from Cena in a singles match when he lost by disqualification, and failed to regain the championship again in an I Quit match at Over the Limit. The following night on the May 23 episode of Raw, the anonymous Raw general manager announcement that The Miz's request for another WWE Championship match was denied, and ended the feud with John Cena. The Miz blamed Riley for not being able to regain the WWE Championship because of Riley not being at ringside at Extreme Rules when Miz lost the championship. The following night on Raw, Riley raised the hand of Miz with the WWE Championship, with leading to his disqualification and at the Over the Limit. Riley left his phone behind that he used to trick the referee into thinking that Cena said "I quit." Riley attacked him, sending him crashing into a barricade at ringside and then head first over the announce table, and which turned Riley a fan favorite for the first time in WWE. On the May 30 episode of Raw, The Miz assaulted Riley after an interview from Michael Cole, but Riley gained the upper hand and Miz escaped through the crowd. At Capital Punishment, Riley defeated Miz in a singles match. He went on to lose to Riley in various singles and tag team matches. It was later announced that Miz lost Raw's Money in the Bank ladder match at Money in the Bank after leaving with a knee injury kayfabe, then returning but being stopped from claiming the briefcase by Rey Mysterio. The next night on Raw, Miz made it to the final of the WWE Championship tournament, defeating his former NXT rookie, Alex Riley, in the first round. The next week on Raw, Miz lost to Rey Mysterio. At SummerSlam, The Miz teamed with R-Truth and Alberto Del Rio to lose to Rey Mysterio, Kofi Kingston and John Morrison. On the August 22 episode of Raw, Miz and R-Truth attacked Santino Marella before his match. They then cut a promo agreeing there was a conspiracy in the WWE keeping both of them out of the main event picture, and declared they would, together, seize any future opportunity. They began referring to themselves as the Awesome Truth. On the August 29 episode of Raw, Truth interfered in Miz's match and the duo attacked CM Punk. At Night of Champions, after the referee was distracted while the Miz attempted a pin, Miz assaulted him, causing Awesome Truth to lose a WWE Tag Team Championship match to Air Boom by disqualification. Seeking retribution, Miz and Truth later attacked both Triple H and CM Punk during their no disqualification match in the main event. Because of their actions from the previous night, R-Truth and The Miz were fired by Triple H on the September 19 episode of Raw. At the conclusion of the main event match at Hell in a Cell, R-Truth and The Miz jumped the barricade wearing black hooded sweatshirts and entered the cell as it was being raised. They then used weapons to attack Alberto Del Rio, CM Punk, John Cena, the referee and cameramen while the cell was again lowered. After this, the entire WWE roster led by Triple H came out to find a way into the cell, before New Orleans Police Department officers were able to get the door open and arrest them. The two later posted a video on YouTube apologizing to the WWE Universe for their actions. The Miz and R-Truth were reinstated by John Laurinaitis on the October 10 episode of Raw. At Vengeance, Miz and R-Truth defeated CM Punk and Triple H in a tag team match, after interference from Triple H's longtime friend Kevin Nash. Later that night they assaulted John Cena during his WWE Championship match with Alberto Del Rio. On the October 24 episode of Raw, Awesome Truth attacked John Cena and Zack Ryder. On the November 7 episode of Raw, Miz and R-Truth defeated Cena and Ryder. At Survivor Series, the Awesome Truth were defeated by John Cena and The Rock. On the November 21 episode of Raw, Cena instigated an argument between R-Truth and Miz, which resulted in Miz hitting his finisher on Truth as they were heading up the steel ramp, signaling the end of their alliance. This was a pretext to explain R-Truth's absence during his suspension as a result of his violating of the wellness policy. Various storylines and Intercontinental Championship reigns. On the November 28 episode of Raw, Miz defeated John Morrison in a Falls Count Anywhere match after he, once again, hit his finisher on their steel ramp. On the December 5 episode of Raw, Miz qualified for a triple threat tables, ladders, and chairs match against Alberto Del Rio and CM Punk at tables, ladders and chairs for the WWE Championship after a win over Randy Orton via count-out, but was unsuccessful. On the December 26 episode of Raw, R-Truth returned only to viciously attack Miz after a match and promised this will continue week after week. The following Raw, Truth hid in the audience and attacked Miz again during his match with Sheamus. On the January 9 episode of Raw, Miz retaliated by attacking R-Truth until Truth turned the tables and chased him out of the ring. On the January 16 episode of Raw Super Show, Miz was defeated by Truth in an over-the-top rope challenge, also involving Sheamus and Wade Barrett. The following Raw, Miz lost to R-Truth in a singles match with a stipulation that the loser would enter the Royal Rumble match first. In the Rumble match, Miz lasted longest, over 45 minutes, before he was eliminated by former tag team partner, Big Show. At Elimination Chamber, Miz failed again to capture the WWE Championship after being eliminated last by CM Punk. Desperate for a spot on the card for the upcoming WrestleMania XXVII event, Miz joined John Laurinaitis' team for the 12-man tag team match after saving Laurinaitis from Santino Marella. Miz picked up the win for Team Johnny after pinning Zack Ryder with the help of Eve, which ended his 20-match losing streak dating back to 2011. He again defeated Ryder the following night on Raw, thus ending his losing streak in singles matches. In the pre-show of Extreme Rules, Miz unsuccessfully challenged Santino Marella for the United States Championship. The following night on Raw, Miz was part of a Beat the Clock challenge to determine the number one contender for the WWE Championship match at Over the Limit. He defeated Morella in 4:18 before being beaten by Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan. At the pay-per-view, Miz was the last man to be eliminated in a 20-man People Power Battle Royal to battle for either the WWE United States Championship or the WWE Intercontinental Championship, being eliminated by the winner Christian. Later on in the PPV, he was defeated by Brodus Clay in a singles match. After a 2-month absence, The Miz returned on July 15 at Money in the Bank, as a last-minute participant in the WWE Championship Money in the Bank contract match, sporting a new haircut that replaced his signature forksalk. He lost the match to his old rival, John Cena. On July 23 at Raw 1000, Miz defeated Christian to win his first Intercontinental Championship. With this, Miz also became the 25th Triple Crown champion in WWE history. 4 days later on SmackDown, Miz successfully defended his title against Christian in a rematch. At SummerSlam, Miz defeated Rey Mysterio to retain the Intercontinental Championship. At Night of Champions, Miz successfully defended the Intercontinental Championship in a fatal 4-way match against Cody Rhodes, Rey Mysterio, and Sin Cara. From September, Miz started hosting the MIZ-TV talk show. On the October 17 episode of WWE Main Event, Miz lost the Intercontinental Championship to Kofi Kingston. Miz failed to regain the title from Kingston in 2 rematches, the first on October 28 at Hell in a Cell, and the second on the November 6 episode of SmackDown. After his loss to Kofi Kingston, The Miz started a face turn by offering Kingston a handshake. Miz's face turn was cemented by him joining Mick Foley's team at Survivor Series and also confronting Paul Heyman when he quit Team Punk on November 18. On November 18 at Survivor Series, The Miz eliminated Wade Barrett before being eliminated by Alberto Del Rio. In the months to come, Miz's turn was not well received by critics, who commented that Miz as a babyface was too similar to his heel character because he was still cocky, arrogant, and egotistical while pivoted toward calling out established heels. Other criticisms were that Miz was juvenile, lacking of depth, grating and not endearing to the audience, and that there was not that moment when he officially turned and aligned his values with the audience's. At TLC, Tables, Ladders and Chairs, The Miz hosted Miz TV with 3 Megabytes as guests. After 3 Megabytes assaulted the Spanish announcers, he, along with Alberto Del Rio and the Brooklyn Brawler, defeated them in a 6-man tag match. The following night on Raw, Miz and Del Rio teamed with Tommy Dreamer to defeat 3 Megabytes in another 6-man tag match. The Miz then feuded with United States champion Antonio Cesaro, after Cesaro insulted America. On January 14, 2013, during the Raw 20th Anniversary Special, Miz hosted Miz TV with guest Ric Flair. They were interrupted by Cesaro, but Miz hit the skull-crashing finale on him and Ric Flair gave The Miz the honor of applying his submission move, the Figure 4 leg lock, on Cesaro. Miz adopted the Figure 4 from Flair and used it as a new finisher. The Miz faced Cesaro for the United States Championship on January 27, during the Royal Rumble pre-show, but was unsuccessful. Later that night, Miz entered the Royal Rumble at number 28 but was eliminated by Ryback. Miz continued his rivalry with Cesaro on Raw Roulette the following night when he was placed as the special guest referee in Cesaro's match with Randy Orton. Cesaro went on to lose the match due to a distraction from Miz and received a skull-crashing finale afterwards. On the February 11 episode of Raw, Cesaro attacked Miz and repeatedly swung him into the barricade with a giant swing during Miz's match with Cody Rhodes, thus injuring Miz's shoulder. 6 days later at Elimination Chamber, Miz lost his shot at the United States Championship via disqualification after he accidentally hit Cesaro in the groin. The following night on Raw, Miz defeated Cesaro in a non-title no disqualification match via submission to earn another shot at the United States Championship. The title rematch took place the following week on SmackDown in a 2 out of 3 falls match, where Miz failed again to capture the title from Cesaro. On the March 11 episode of Raw, The Miz faced Chris Jericho in a #1 contenders match for Wade Barrett's Intercontinental Championship, but the match was ruled a no contest after Barrett interfered and attacked both men. As a result, both men were entered into the title match the following week on Raw, where Barrett retained his title after pinning Miz. The next week on Raw, Miz defeated Barrett in a non-title match via submission to earn another shot at the Intercontinental Championship. On April 7, during the WrestleMania 29 pre-show, Miz defeated Barrett via submission to win his second Intercontinental Championship. He lost the title back to Barrett the following night on Raw. After over a month of inactivity, Miz returned on the May 13 episode of Raw, defeating Heath Slater. 6 days later, during the pre-show of Extreme Rules, Miz defeated Cody Rhodes in a singles match. The following night on Raw, Miz and Chris Jericho defeated Fandango and Wade Barrett in a tag team match after Miz submitted Barrett with a figure-4 leg lock. 4 days later on SmackDown, Miz faced Barrett for the Intercontinental Championship and won the match by disqualification after Fandango interfered, but did not win the title as a result. On the next episode of Raw, Miz served as special guest referee in a match between Barrett and Fandango, where it gave Barrett a skull-crashing finale which allowed Fandango to pick up the win. Afterwards, Miz attacked Fandango as well. In June, Fandango suffered a legitimate concussion, removing him from the feud between Miz and Barrett. On June 16 at WWE Payback, Miz again failed to recapture the Intercontinental Championship from Barrett in a triple threat match, that was won by Curtis Axel. On July 14 at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, Miz unsuccessfully challenged Axel for the Intercontinental Championship. Various feuds and hiatus. On August 18, The Miz was the host of SummerSlam, during which, he had a run-in with Fandango, beginning a feud between the two. Miz went on to defeat Fandango both on the September 2 episode of Raw, and on September 15 at Night of Champions. On the September 16 episode of Raw in his hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, Miz was assaulted by Randy Orton in front of his parents, resulting in a storyline injury. When Miz returned in October, he lost to Orton again. On the November 18 episode of Raw, Miz started an on-screen feud with Kofi Kingston after he walked out on Kingston during a tag team match, causing Kingston to lose the match and thus becoming a villain once again in the process. At Survivor Series, Miz defeated Kingston in the pre-show. After the match, Miz offered a handshake, in which Kofi retaliated with a slap to face. He tagged with Kingston in the December 2 Raw, but Kingston slapped him across the face after the match. On the December 13 SmackDown, Miz attacked Kingston before his match with Alberto Del Rio. At TLC, Tables, Ladders and Chairs, he was defeated by Kingston in a no disqualification match, to end the feud. On the January 27, 2014 episode of Raw, WWE once again returned to The Miz's hometown of Cleveland, where Miz lost a match against fellow Cleveland native Dolph Ziggler. On the February 3 episode of Raw, Miz stormed out to complain about a match with Zack Ryder and Titus O'Neil, saying he should be in that match, saying Ryder is a wannabe, and he should be in matches instead of him. The following week on Raw, Miz did a similar thing in a match between Fandango and Santino. 4 days later on SmackDown, The Miz got a match against Fandango in a winning effort, due to a distraction by Santino and Emma. Miz participated in the Andra Copyright the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania XXX, but was eliminated by Santino. Return from hiatus. The Miz returned to WWE on the June 30 episode of Raw after a 4-month hiatus filming the Marine 4, Moving Target as a heel. Claiming to be the only successful multi-platform superstar in the WWE, Miz vowed to return to the main events. He was interrupted by the also returning Chris Jericho, taking a codebreaker. Other media. Mizanin played a small role in the film The Campaign. On April 30, 2012, it was announced that The Miz would star in WWE Studios' film The Marine 3, Homefront. Mizanin replaced fellow wrestler Randy Orton, who was dropped to the role due to his past with the USMC. That day, It was also announced that Mizanin will be featured in the WWE Studios and Careprod project Les Reigns touring alongside Eve Torres and CM Punk. Mizanin won SiriusXM's Fantasy Football League for 2011 and was also the runner-up in WWE Magazine Fantasy Football League that year, and also competed in both leagues in 2012, but failed to win both. Mizanin has hosted a fantasy football show called First and Awesome on SiriusXM since 2011. Mizanin is featured in Mick Foley's children's Christmas book The Most Miserable Christmas. Mizanin has become a top media spokesman for WWE, having been a guest on several late-night talk shows, including Conan 3 times, Lopez Tonight, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel Live, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Tom Green's House Tonight, Attack of the Show, Daybreak, Red Bull Play, H8R, and Rove LA. He appeared in a Brazilian talk show named Agora Eat Hard while doing promotional work in Brazil. He has hosted roster reveal programs of WWE video games like WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2009, WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, WWE All-Stars, WWE 12, and WWE 13. WWE 2K14, as well as being a part of the roster. He has also appeared in numerous television and radio shows in order to promote WWE programming and his film The Marine 3, Homefront. He has also done promotional work for WWE in countries like Russia, Brazil, England, Poland, Germany, Australia, and many others. He flew a FA-18 jet plane at USS John C. Stennis during doing promotional work for WWE's annual Tribute to the Troops special. He has been a special guest at the San Diego Comic-Con 2010 and Portland Comic-Con 2013, where he hosted the Real World, Portland panel. Mizanin starred in the ABC Family TV movie Christmas Bounty, which premiered in December 2013. Filmography, film, television, personal life. When Mizanin was 11, his parents divorced. He has a stepfather named Donnie and 2 half-siblings, Jimmy and Tonya. His father, George Mizanin, owns several Mr. Hero sandwich shops in the Cleveland area. Mizanin passionately roots for his hometown Cleveland Browns, Cleveland Cavaliers, and Cleveland Indians. Prior to the Cleveland Indians vs. Los Angeles Angels game on July 26, 2011, he fulfilled one of his lifelong goals when he threw out the first pitch. Mizanin got married to his longtime girlfriend and former WWE diva Mariza Elliott on February 20, 2014, in a private ceremony at the one and only Ocean Club in the Bahamas. In wrestling finishing moves, figure 4 leg lock, sometimes while standing, a Euro 2013, a Euro present. Adopted from Ric Flair, Wizard of Oz, a Euro 2006, a Euro 2007, Reality Check, a Euro 2007, a Euro 2009, Skull Crashing Finale, a Euro 2009, a Euro present. Signature moves, Awesome Clothesline, Big Boot, sometimes to a seated opponent, Discus Punch, a Euro late 2005, a Euro early 2006, Diving Double Axe Handle, Dropkick, Half Nelson Facebuster, a Euro 2009, Flapjack, Inverted Fasalock Backbreaker followed by a Neckbreaker, Running Knee Lift, slides through the opponent's legs and performs a roll-up, Snap DDT to a kneeling opponent, Snapmare Driver, a Euro 2011, Springboard Bulldog, a Euro late 2005, a Euro early 2006, Turnbuckle Bulldog. Managers, Alex Riley, Mick Foley, Ric Flair. Wrestlers managed, Kenny Bolin, Roni Jonah, ODB, Layla, Rosa Mendez, Kelly Kelly, Brooke, The Bella Twins, Daniel Bryan, Crystal Marshall, Mariza Elliott. Nicknames, Mr. Money in the Bank, The Awesome One, The Chick Magnet, The Cleveland Screamer, The Grand Wizard of Lust, The Most Must-See WWE Superstar/Champion of All Time, The Cross-Platform Multimedia Superstar. Entrance themes, Reality by Jim Johnston, I Came to Play by Downsat, The Awesome Truth by Jim Johnston. Championships and Accomplishments. Deep South Wrestling, DSW Heavyweight Championship. Ohio Valley Wrestling, OVW Southern Tag Team Championship, with Chris Cage. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, PWI Most Hated Wrestler of the Year, PWI ranked him number 1 of the top 500 singles wrestlers in the PWI 500 in 2011. World Wrestling Entertainment WWE, WWE Championship, WWE Intercontinental Championship, WWE United States Championship, WWE Tag Team Championship, with John Morrison, Big Show, and John Cena, World Tag Team Championship, with John Morrison and Big Show, Money in the Bank, Slammy Award for Tag Team of the Year, with John Morrison, Slammy Award for Best WWE.com exclusive, The Dirt Sheet with John Morrison, 25th Triple Crown Champion. Wrestling Observer Newsletter, Most Improved Wrestler, Tag Team of the Year. References. External links. The Miz's profile on WWE.com, The Miz at the Internet Movie Database, The Miz on Twitter.